Hi there, this is Justin Krane, Certified Financial Planner Professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
This program is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. We offer financial planning and investment management services for business owners. We believe that the success of our clients' business is the engine that funds their personal goals. We believe in merging your money with your life. Today, I have someone super, super cool that I've been wanting to get on for a while, but she's like one of these mucky mucks. Like she goes places. Her name is Tess Macaraya. Tess is a CPA who works for, I'm just going to say MIA CPAs. It's way easier than the whole spiel.
It's MAP now.
MAP CPAs?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. So Tess, you're a CPA. You've been in business for doing tax advice for 30 years?
Yes, that is very aging.
And you're like 35.
I started when I was 5 years old.
Exactly. I love it. Well, it's so cool to have you on. You have so much to talk about with respect to taxes, life, and money. You probably don't know that, but I know enough about you to make some damage. So first off, you came here to the States from the Philippines, right?
That is correct.
And how old were you?
I was 20 years old when I arrived a long time ago.
Wow, 20. And did you speak the language?
I did speak English, yes.
You did. And did you come here with any tax background?
No, not at all, because the tax laws in the Philippines are very different from the tax laws here in the United States. Here we have the federal and the state taxes and different types of tax entities that was not in the Philippines. I came here with $20 in my pocket and a suitcase of clothes. That's how I started.
Were you freaking out?
I was petrified. I was excited, nervous. I was young. I have ambitions and I had dreams that I wanted to make it in the United States of America.
That's amazing. So did you come here alone?
My mom was already in the US, so I came here by myself in the plane and she met me at the airport.
Oh my God. That is so cool. And how did you get yourself into doing, taxes, becoming a CPA and all of that? Did you know that's what you wanted to do?
No, that is not what I did not start wanting to do taxes. So
Does anyone?
Does anybody ever want to start becoming a CPA, with the pocket protectors and all that? So I actually was already a CPA in the Philippines. So I came here. I knew I wanted to become a CPA. I just did not know what I wanted to do. In my mind, I envisioned myself being a CFO of a large Fortune 500 company. Then I took the turn into the taxes, and it's been one hell of a ride.
So what were your struggles? Was it hard studying for the test and passing and then going out and, how did it go for you in those first few years?
It was very interesting, and it was very challenging because when I could not get a job because I did not have any local experience. I did not have any experience at all. And people were saying, why don't you work for Broadway? Oh, I'm really dating myself. And at least have some local experience before you start looking for a job in accounting. I was pretty determined to start in accounting. And with that, I had to learn the different laws here in the US, which was the federal and tax laws. It was challenging to pass the tax exam. The accounting, it's the same. Worldwide GAAP was the same. But also really communicating to the different culture, how the to be able to stand up and speak for yourself, which is very different from in the Philippines culturally, because in the Philippines, we were kind of trained to be more subservient of the people that we work with.
So you had to come here and have a voice for yourself, have to figure out this whole new, we'll call it the tax code, learn it. I'm actually curious about that because I have this, like, I love learning. I think, you know, the minute you stop learning, you start to die. And I think as time has gone on, we're learning differently. You know, we have video and we have TV and we have audible and, you know, all sorts of things. How did you figure out how to learn this in a way that worked for you?
Well, I read a lot, and I think experience is really the best teacher, because whatever I read from the books, if I don't really apply it on what I'm doing at work, then it doesn't make sense to me doing it. And so I would stay late every night, learn my clients, learn the different tax codes, and that's really how I started going into this path.
So it kind of snowballed for you.
Yes, it's been exciting.
Was it hard in the beginning, or did you just power through it?
It was very hard, but you know, you just have to power through it. That's how you succeed. For me, success or learning is not how hard it is, but just powering through it and overcoming whatever obstacles you face.
So what would you say to someone who's like either at a crossroads where they're not really wanting to embrace something, but they know that they have to do it?
Well, there's two crossroads. The first one is making a decision as to, do I want to do A or do I want to do B? And I used to be like this. I used to be like, hey, if I do A, that's going to be for the rest of my life. I learned through these years that whatever decision I make at a crossroad is not always going to be the final decision, because I can always turn around and change my mind, go back to that crux and take a different path. And a second crossroads that you're asking about is like, what do I tell somebody that's not quite sure that they really want to take this path? For you to really know that this is your path, you have to try it. You have to test the waters. You are never going to find out if you're really going to enjoy it until you tried it. So try it. If you like it, go for it. If you don't, then there's always a different path that you could take.
I love that. I think that's super cool. You actually made a decision recently to switch firms, and it was a life decision. Can you talk about that?
Yes. About 4 years ago, I have decided to move from a very large CPA firm to the firm that I'm in right now. It's very difficult because I've been with that firm for a very long time, established my seniority, my team, and just very comfortable. When I move to a new firm, I have to prove myself all over again. And I don't really know what I'm going to be doing. And as the key financial person of the family, whatever decision I make would affect not just me, but my kids and my husband and our house and everything. So it took me a long time, and it took a lot of encouragement and actually prayers on my side to give me the strength and the gumption to go ahead and take the leap and move in a different direction.
Can you talk about why you made the change?
It was, there was one night I came home and my son was a year old. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2, I was coming home from work. And my son woke up, and I went to him and I said, hey, it's mommy. It's okay, go back to sleep. And I think my son did not really know who I was because I was working too much. So he says, I don't like you, mommy. Where is daddy? I think that really drove a point that I needed to have a change in my life.
So you switched firms for a better commute, work-life balance, stuff like that?
Yes, better everything.
Now, you said something interesting that, like, I don't think we've talked about yet, you and I, or really on the show, but is you said a lot of prayers. faith, taking action, putting one foot in front of the other, just putting it out there, and having the courage to do it. I mean, that's got to be big.
Well, I know faith is something that's not being talked about all the time, but it's really big with me. I just keep it inside because I think faith is very personal. I do not talk about it with other people. That's why I've just kind of usually downplay it, but I have a huge, very religious, and I have faith in whatever I do.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? If you tie that answer to having faith in whatever you do, to making a decision and being able and willing to make another decision, that's okay. You can course correct.
Yes, that is one thing I learned. You can always course correct. Whatever decision we make right now is always can be changed. It's not life or death.
So let's fast forward to I mean, I think this is amazing. This is so cool. For those of you listening that are like feeling a little bit stuck, this is a woman who came here when she was 3 years old with negative experience in accounting, didn't speak the language, had $18.12, came and is now a partner of a big San Fernando Valley firm. I have like 5 notes on all of these awards that you've won and the most influential woman here and all of that. Like that's a result. That's a result of what you've gone through and the adversity you've faced and the faith / taking action and then course correcting. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
So let's move this into taxes. I know this is very, very exciting for people listening, but you need to know what's going on with taxes. So my first question is, why are you a CPA as opposed to, I don't know, a doctor? You know, why are you choosing this profession?
It's funny because I watch a show and they always say, oh, I want to be a doctor because I want to help people. That's what they always say. So why a CPA? Well, I realized that I'm somehow in this profession because I'm helping my clients. I partner up with my clients. So I become I hope that I become an integral part of their business lives. And I'm their sounding board whenever they have to do something. And it's worked out really well because I've become good friends with a lot of my clients. And I sometimes I do believe this word is overused, but I feel like they trust me, like I'm a trusted advisor.
Sure.
But it takes a while to get to that point.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Okay, so you're in this tax profession, and like the average person does not want to deal with taxes. They just don't. You know, it's more of like, oh, we'll deal with it whenever. How do you take something that you know people should do, whether it's filing their taxes, doing an estate return, buying life insurance, whatever, and actually get your people, your clients, not really your clients, to take action and do the things that they need to do to better themselves financially? How do you motivate your clients to actually do what you want them to do?
That is a very good question because there's no 100% foolproof answer to that. It really is getting to have a conversation with your client early and getting to know what's going on with their businesses and with their lives. And then you can work with them and say, okay, I'll give an example. You're buying a house. If you're planning to buy a house next year, that means they're going to need your tax returns. So let's start working on your taxes now earlier so that when you're ready to pull the plug and buy the house, you have all the documentations needed to get financing. So it's learning what's going on with their lives and their businesses and working it out that you are partnering with them so that they understand why they need to get their tax returns done or why they need to talk to me when there's life-changing events, either in their business or in their lives, personal lives.
So how do you connect with people? Like you're trying to learn about their lives. You want to give them advice. You want to be proactive with them. How do you try to connect with your clients? Because I asked this question because not everyone listening to the show is a CPA, right? Yeah. But we all need to somehow connect with the people that we do business with, whether they're a prospect or a client. Right. So how do you do that around a subject again that's like, not that interesting to some people.
So I think the key is to listening. The first time you meet a prospective client, you have to listen as to what their pain points are. And from there, you should touch base with them, or I try to touch base with them periodically. Hey, if they were trying to have kids? I mean, as simple as that. Then you touch base. Hey, how are you doing? Just kind of have a personal conversation. Have that personal connection, so that you can work with them with their taxes and all the tax planning that they need. But it's really listening to what's going on with their lives and tailoring the tax planning and the tax return to what's going on with their lives.
It's so interesting. We know that, like, everyone who hears it, like, duh, of course, listen. But are you really doing it? Number one. And number two, I actually try to, I don't know, maybe guys are just not as wired to listen like women, but like, I really try to make it a focus to listen and to really come from a place of understanding, what their priorities are. Let me ask you this. You came to your new firm. Did you come as a partner or just as a CPA?
I came as a principal. So it's one step below a partner.
So, and are you a partner now?
Yes, I am.
So what happened? Like, what did you have to do?
So, well, I needed to prove myself that I knew what I was doing technically, and the ability to lead the tax team. So there was about 1 year of getting to know me, and then after a year, then they made me a partner.
So what happened is you kind of rose to the occasion again, kind of like starting out, right, getting into taxes, and
yes,
then you built it up, and then you came to a new firm. You had to prove yourself again, and you got this new title and all that. Right. Do you think that in life we never have to stop proving ourselves and our skill, and that we're always needing to kind of grow and get ahead?
You're always needing to grow. May it be on your career-wise or personally, because once you stop growing, then almost there's no purpose in life. There's always something to grow into, either charity work, with your children, with your business, learning how to communicate with the different generation right now. As you're working with your team, there's always a growing and learning opportunity.
Amen. So what's going on? Let's move into like the nitty gritty of the taxes. Everyone is always looking for tax saving tips or tax strategies or anything like that. I've seen a lot of stuff that you've put out between different entities, buying and selling businesses, how you're going to file, all of that kind of stuff. What would you say to someone who's listening that they know they could either be saving money or being more proactive with their taxes? How should they go about trying to find ways to save? What are the things that they should be looking for? What are the questions that maybe they want to ask their accountants? Where do they start so they feel like they can gain some momentum?
Again, each person is different and each situation is different. But I think the first question they should ask their accountant right now is, with the new tax changes that was effective January 1 of 2018, is there anything in there that I could take advantage of that could save me with taxes? One of the big things right now that people have been talking about is this ability to take a reduction of 20% of any business income that flows through to them. So if you're a business owner that's either in an S Corp, even a Schedule C, or a partnership, based on certain criteria, it could be that you're eligible to take a 20% deduction on the income that is flowing through you. So if you are earning and your net income is about $100,000, you could be entitled to a $20,000 deduction. So these are the things that you should start asking. Anything in the new tax law that would benefit me? Are there any credits out there that I should take advantage of, such as the work opportunity credit, the R&D credits? There's just a lot of things, a low-hanging fruit credits that's out there that people are not taking advantage of.
Just so we're on the same page, what is a credit versus a deduction?
Okay, so a credit is actually better. because you get a dollar for dollar reduction on the taxes that you pay. The deduction is reducing your income, but you don't get a dollar for dollar credit. Your benefit would be whatever your tax rate is.
Okay, so if you owe $5,000 in taxes and you owe $5,000 in credits, it's zero that you owe in taxes.
That is correct.
Yeah, a deduction is just a reduction in an expense that goes
exactly.
against what you make. So, you know, I think so many people feel intimidated about reaching out to the CPAs. They're like, okay, it's year end. I'll just send them my 1099s and W-2s and K-1s and blah, blah, blah. But I really do believe one thing that I do with my clients is do these quarterly. I mean, quarterly is a little, I mean, the business owners, yes, quarterly. Some W-2s, I think at least once a year.
Once a year.
September, October is a great time to just send everything over, send a pay stub, do a projection, get in front of it. I think for me, and I wonder how this is for you, when my clients find out that there's a surprise and it's a bad surprise, they freak out.
Yes.
When they see that they have a bigger tax bill than they thought, or they didn't even know about, and then they have to come up with the money in like 2 weeks, it's like major freak out.
Yes.
So this whole tax planning thing is a good thing because it gives you time to either potentially reduce it or time to save up for it.
That is true. It is critical to have a year-end tax planning, because then you can start thinking about, oh, what expenses can I do? If I'm making this much money and I owe taxes in April, should I buy a new equipment so I could take more of a deduction this year? These are the things that we look at with the business owners, especially, to see if there's anything we can take advantage of.
Yeah. Where do you think our country's tax rates are going to go long term?
You mean at the individual level? It's not, you know how everybody's saying flat tax, and it's going to be very challenging or close to impossible for there to be a flat tax, just because there are different types of income. And it's going to be more complicated now that the states are really aggressively trying to tax everything. We just had that new court case that passed about the sales tax. Now that the states can assess sales tax on businesses that sells inventory or anything to that state, even though they don't have any presence there, as long as they meet certain criteria. So I think the taxes are going to get complicated in the sense that each state wants a piece of their pie. At the same time, the Fed is trying to balance the budget, but try to cut back on some of these expenses, but increase on this side because somehow they still need to make it balanced.
Okay, so the flat tax is out. Do you think tax rates are going to be higher in like 10 years?
It depends on how fast we spend the money. And
now we're at a deficit. So we either have to cut entitlements like Social Security and Medicare, or raise taxes, or do some combo, or do nothing, and we just kind of kick it down for, you know, our kids and grandkids, and maybe we have higher rates if it's more of a deficit. I'm just like, do you think anything is ever going to happen really big where tax rates are going to go up major, or like, what do you think?
So, you know, because there's politics involved in it, if they do reduce taxes, then they have to increase something else, either in the estate taxes, or if they eliminate some of the deductions, which is what they've kind of done on some of the new tax laws.
Yeah.
Or if they do increase tax rates, then they're going to have to give some. So it's going to be a back and forth. So either way, it's going to end up, I hate to say this, but it's almost going to end up the same where, yeah, they increase taxes here, but they're going to they're going to offset it with something somewhere else.
Yeah. I want everyone to hear about what it's like during tax season for a CPA, but I work with, you know, a lot of CPAs, and yes, there's that, you know, February to April, but there's plenty of other stretches where you're under the gun. So how do you deal with a ton of work falling in your lap that needs to be done literally with a deadline? How do you manage your time? How do you work with your staff? Are you, eating healthier and sleeping less and going to the gym and just trying to keep your sanity? Like, how do you manage all of that when there are deadlines?
I believe working out is part of it. You need to work out in order to have some sanity. I really still go to the gym to take the stress out. And also hiring the right team that would work around you and being able to delegate as much as possible and have a really good assistant to keep your calendar fantastically perfect.
All right, let's break this down. What are you doing at the gym?
During tax season, I work out differently than during off season. During tax season, I do workouts that make me smile. So I do Zumba classes because somehow they still make me smile, and I play tennis. But during off season, then that's when I do boot camp and all the other more intense, really workout focused.
I love that. All right, note to self, Zumba. So you talked a little bit about team. How do you get the right people to support you? And everyone has one or two people that aren't ideal, and someone has a few that are good. But how do you really cultivate a team that can help you? And then how do you get right with the fact that you can't do it all by yourself?
You need to be able to be willing to train the people that you have working around you. It's interesting because my mom always used to tell me, don't teach them everything you know because then you'll be out of a job. That was the old mentality. I believe I should teach them as much as possible. Then I can delegate, and then I can be able to trust. I would be able to trust them to do the work correctly and accurately. So really, training is important, and having a teamwork mentality instead of having, well, I'll just do my own stuff and I don't care what you do. We try to really nurture the teamwork mentality. And yes, there's always somebody that's going to be different, but you need to be able to work with the differences. It's a challenge, especially during tax season when everybody's nerves are just fried and everything is on high gear. I will be honest, it's a challenge, but you need to be able to be the calm among everybody that is stressed out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you have the right team to support you during the chaotic times, you'll get through them. It must be terrible when you have the wrong people on your team and there are deadlines and you're like, what am I going to do? There's a lot of people out there who basically say, screw it, I'm just going to do it on my own. What would you tell them?
Well, there's only so many hours in a year. And you can't do everything because your time is limited. The way to really be able to do more is to be able to delegate as much as possible. Delegation is the key.
Why do people not delegate?
Because they think it takes longer to train someone. They could do it faster. But yes, it takes longer to train someone on the very first time. And they will become more efficient as they do the work more. So then by the 5th time, they do it as fast as you do, or maybe on the 10th time.
When you're training people, do you write it out like in a system? That way, if they no longer work for you or move on or get sick or whatever, that there's a system that's written that so you won't have to duplicate it again?
I wish I could say yes, but not really, because each person's learning ability and learning curve is different. So you almost have to tailor your training to that person's knowledge, where they are currently in their career, and their ability and their strengths. Because some people are really good at communication, but not at the research. And some people are really good with research, but not at the client communication.
Are you involved in the interviewing process, or is that something done by other people in your firm?
It is when somebody gets interviewed in our firm, there's about 4 or 5 people that interviews them at different levels, because everybody has an input, everybody has a say. And then if they like them, then I meet them. But if by the time 4 people have met with them, then sometimes I don't. For our internship program, I'm not even involved anymore, because then we usually like to have the younger generation meet with the interns, having them be a part of our team. The young ones, part of the management team.
Got it. I love hearing your perspective on this stuff. It's really, really cool, because like I think you're like a quiet powerhouse. Now that I know that you do Zumba classes, you're probably not a quiet powerhouse, probably a loud powerhouse in the Zumba classes. But I want to end just getting an idea from you as to like, what do you think your biggest focus is for this next year with your profession? Like, what are the things that you're trying to do to like get ahead and advance?
You know, I think, and interestingly enough, Justin and I know Melissa Silverman. Mm-hmm. And we had lunch today, and I asked her the same question. What are you going to change for 2019? And we both looked at each other, and we're like, well, that's a very good question. And it's a little bit early, but I think I would like to give back more to my staff and to my managers, in the sense that I want to train them more. Because by doing that, giving back so that they can grow professionally. Because if they grow professionally, then I will be a success.
Yeah. I think what you're basically saying is echoing on the whole team mentality and viewing that you're all in it together. And then it's about the communal tribe, if you will, of your firm. And somehow by helping them, you'll benefit, but they'll also benefit.
Yes.
They'll benefit by growing.
Yes.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, a couple of rapid fire questions. What did you have for lunch today?
Susan salad with salmon.
Salmon. I love it. Favorite movie?
Grease.
Oh my God. You need to go to the Hollywood Bowl Grease sing-along. I went to it. It's amazing.
Is that all the time? Or is that just once a year?
Once a year in the summer, it's the best thing. For those of you who live in LA, go to the Hollywood Bowl Grease sing-along. It's so much fun.
Okay.
If you could meet anyone, who could you meet and why?
I would like to meet Mother Teresa, because of the fact that she gave so much back to the community. And I'd like to learn why she went that route, and how I could, in my small ways, give back more to the community, just like she did. She was so selfless.
Wow. Wow, you have such a big heart.
Oh.
You really, really do. And that's amazing. Amazing, amazing. Mother Tess, I don't know how that works.
No.
Zumba Tess?
Maybe
Zumba?
Sister Tess, Driving Tess, the movie. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Is there anything else that you just want to say to people listening, literally about just taxes, tax planning, what they need to be thinking about, how they could get ahead? Any advice that you would give them?
There's a couple of things. Before you do anything, for example, sell your business, or even if there's something that you want to do with your business or in your personal life, maybe make that call to the accountant. Like if you want to sell your house, or if you want to sell a building that you own, call your accountant. Get them involved. There could be some tax planning opportunities there. And before the year ends, talk to your accountant again. Give them a call. Say, where am I this year? What's the new tax act going to affect? How's the new tax act going to affect me? Those are the two things right now.
Got it. So communicate, be upfront, get them involved.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. You were great. I learned a lot. I always learn a lot when I interview really cool people like you. Thank you again for coming on today, Tess.
Thanks, Justin, for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.